For round 3 of the Pro-Am Championship MCC Cincinnati. I'm going to say the boys alongside is Justin Prince and Justin. This is an absolutely amazing opportunity to have a
Yes, indeed. It should be a fun time again. Hopefully everyone's been enjoying the 4th of July weekend as well as we get ready to go racing here. Should be an interesting time to say the very least here with the national layout here today for these drivers. The drive battle in the heart of this Pro-Am Karting Championship battle so far. Yes, absolutely. And so far, when it comes to that championship, the one thing noticing, consistency when it comes to Pugh. 208 points per race so far. It's been how things have played out for him so far. And being able to consistently score points round to round is also critical if you want to be able to score a championship run. And right now, that's been the main difference mark, right? Is that consistency round to round that's carried over for Pugh so far. Yeah, so far the drivers are currently setting times in the 108.5s for the top times. A bit of separation, but they do have a few minutes to be able to get themselves rolling here, get the times going, to be able to set their fastest times to the racetrack, right? So it's just the matter of, can TJ Pugh put in a strong time or even a time on the board with 2 minutes to work with, less than 2 minutes. And keep in mind, these times did pick up from the warm-up by about a couple seconds to be able to set the top times here. So these drivers have been basically making sure their equipment's ready to go for this. They only had 4 laps estimated with a course of 5 laps. Not a lot of time to get things done. And as we know, Taylor, these tires usually get into a certain window. It takes a few laps, and these drivers having time come close to them with these drivers likely going to have to finish their runs in the next 30 seconds. So as they continue on here around the racetrack, Lida continues to hold on by near 6/10. Ashbrook jumps up to 1.4 seconds back in the top 5 for the session right here. All of this is with Elwood currently still holding on to third. Pugh needs to go higher, does get 4/10 within. So all of that is allowing the opportunity to be able to set the grid here. Lida currently 4/10 up over Pugh, it looks like, as the checker flag waves on the racetrack. good qualifying session as these drivers look to see if they can finish up the lap time strongly here. 206 Master Class. Expecting these drivers to be tightly contested in terms of draft momentum based a bit of 3-tire drifting a little bit. 220 of Donnie through the road course, coming to the final section through turn 16. We'll see if there's any improvement on their times here across the stripe. No change, it looks like.
In qualifying, as it has come to a close, it is going to be the driver of Matthew Lyda who will set the pole position as we get set for pre-finals later on this afternoon, as he sets a time of a 108.538. Currently, as second place, we'll go to TJ Pugh with a 108.708, and Alan Elwood will round out your top three with a 108.912, as field will come around to take their entrance into the scale line. We'll step aside right quick for a quick commercial break, but when we return, we'll have more qualifying action here today for the Pro-Am Karting Championship of MCC Cincinnati, live on Kart Chaser.
So you finally want to get behind the wheel, huh?
Yeah, I've been shooting for 3 years and I've never got to drive.
Well, you're gonna need some more gear than just your helmet. Why don't you go to shopakr.com? They got their inventory online and they'll ship it the same day if you order before 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
They got shoes,
Yep,
gloves,
yep,
rear protectors.
got those too.
Can they make me go fast?
No.
Here at Acceleration Kart Racing, we've got everything you need to get on track. What happens next? Well, that's on you. Check us out online at shopakr.com. This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself, quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
Your category. Currently Adler Klein, as well as also a couple of other drivers had made their way onto the track, but last race we were here, Justin, it was Adler Klein putting on a dominating performance ahead of Caleb Tracy and Lila Beck, as they were your top three in the last round here. But Adler Klein going to see if he can lead the charge in that number 33 all-white machine, ready to go racing once again, as right behind is another driver, of course, it's Shepard and Roland. Joe Shepard and Ace Rowland, your top three, as they work their way to set their first flying laps.
Well, when it comes to Klein especially, he's been someone who's been able to set the only points tallies in the class so far in the 300 bracket per race, right? So it's going to be difficult to close up to him. It's already more than a 100-point advantage in the standings. Klein, in the warm-up session, mind you, was flying 9/10 up just about over Ace Rowland to be able to set those top times, right? it's going to be tricky for the field to close up, but we'll see how things go throughout this qualifying session. Klein is the leader of the pack. 2/10 down as Rowland and Shepard got the draft.
Yeah, we see Joe Shepard and Ace Rowland utilizing the toe, and that's one of the things. When you're that driver who's being pushed, you're not going to get that much of a toe to help you compared to the drivers such as Joe Shepard, who's getting the toe off of Adler Klein, but also getting pushed as well by the driver right behind him as well, the driver of Ace Rowland, who's in the mix as well. So we'll see what happens here. Of course, there's only a couple of other drivers who are at the last round, that being Lila Beck and Law Cotton, who are going to try to see if they can get some valuable points for their chance of it, as we see Joe Shepard and Ace Rowland, who did not have an entry in. Of course, Rowland was dead last in the last race, so he needs some valuable points to see if he can have a shot of the 206 championship in the MCC.
Yeah, but here comes the question. When does a swap around happen? Because we talked about this a little bit before today about how these karts work and them be momentum-based, draft-focused, draft-based. How long does Klein just stay as the leader of this group? Well, how about he leads the qualifying? He picked up a couple tenths despite the draft from the previous time around from Shepard and Rowland. And now he seems to be setting that tone we've seen for the warm-up session.
He picked up quite a bit. He now has a 1/10 of a second difference between Joe Shepard and Ace Rowland, who are right there behind, trying to find their little bit of extra toe and see if they can get closer to the pole position. As down to the inside, the number 8 of Ace Rowland will get around Joe Shepard, as he wants to see if they can try and get a good toe from this time.
Yeah, now it's going to be interesting. Who else picks up the tempo, right? It looks like at this point, look at that for Klein this lap, first of all. But second, this is a racetrack that has a lot of opportunities to be able to draft up and keep up, whether it's front straightaway, whether it's that run up to turn 4. There's a lot of chances to be able to close up time. You can see them trying to close up the draft, but the thing is, Klein is just that consistent when it comes to these corners in the technical sections to just take off like he's been doing.
Yeah, he gets a good run here. He does not improve on his lap time. Neither does really anybody else inside the top 4. Law Cotton picks up a little bit of time, but he's still about 3 seconds off the pace from anyone in the top 3. So no improvements really happening here with the checker flag about to come out. Qualifying is about to end, so we'll see if anyone improves on this final lap as they work their way around towards the back half of the circuit, approaching towards the new section of the MCC, which has been around for a couple of years now, but it's still a new addition that we'll see used very well. Both we saw at SCUSA Supernats, or SCUSA, of course, the SCUSA round we saw a couple of weeks ago, as well as the Stars Championship that we'll see in a week's time as they snake their way through the back half of the course onto the start straight. And we will see who is able to improve, or if everyone comes down pit road this time. And they're going to come down across the start-finish line to see if they can get that extra 10th ahead. Oh, close call right there for Ace Rowland, as Joe Shepard takes the pole position away with a 109.259. Just about very strong run here, and about half a tenth faster than Adler Klein. Ace Rowland with a 109.273. Absolutely close call between the top 2 in the standings, as that will be your starting lineup when we get set for pre-finals this afternoon.
And the wild thing about that is you have almost contact the start and finish line between those first and second place drivers, right? So it could have been the opposite direction, but Klein, after setting that personal best as the lead driver, did not improve after that, stayed in the same ballpark of times throughout that rest of the session. Just didn't get a chance to improve and didn't have anyone to feed off of draft to try and gain time down the straightaways. Either way, it's going to make things interesting for the race.
Well, with that is the end of your 206 Junior qualifying session. Next up on the docket is your 206 Senior category. They'll be next here for their qualifying segment. And that senior category is going to be one to watch as well. Benjamin Lida was your winner from the last round, as he set a flying lap of a 50.496. and he's looking to continue that trend to go back-to-back here as he continues to lead the championship here at the MCC as they are about to enter on the track. We'll step aside right quick, let the drivers come around and get themselves warmed up for qualifying for your 206 seniors here on Kart Chaser.
This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
Are you looking for an advantage in your competition? Well, Car Class has done the hard work for you. We've travelled to your racetracks to give you the inside knowledge. So what does Car Class offer? We've got drone footage that captures the racing lines, visual markers for your braking points, acceleration zones, and the best overtake opportunities on your racetrack, pedal cam to show you where to brake and when to accelerate, and 360-degree footage to make sure you don't miss any parts on the racetrack. We've covered 13 racetracks in the United States, and Australia, you're up next. So visit carclass.com to get your track information.
Welcome back to Kart Chaser coverage of the Pro-Am Karting Championship MCC Cincinnati. Your 206 seniors are out on the track, ready to go racing, and it's a lot bigger field than we saw in round number 2 here, as instead of 5 karts for your 206 seniors, we're now up to 11 karts in your 206 senior category. Benjamin Lyda looking to try to go and get a second win already for him this season, as he is one to watch in the championship as they work their way around to start their first timed lap. Braden Heber, Gavin Degenhart, Shane Hambrick are the first ones that are going to come across the line, along with Nolan Holiday, Riley Davis, Colin Evans, William Schmidt, Benjamin Lyda, Peyton Klein, Matthew Maccabee, and Jeff Leo, who are now going to work their way across the line, and it's going to be Nolan Holiday who will set the flying lap. And just as I say that, Matthew Maccabee sets the fast time, a 107.943.
Yeah, during the warm-up session earlier in the day today, drivers did set times to the 108s as the personal best. Lyda and Maccabee were those top drivers. I'm really curious about Benjamin Lyda in particular because, well, we've had experience in the broadcast booth with the Lydas before here at Kart Chaser, but better yet, Benjamin's been really strong when it comes to grassroots events and has also looked very strong for the championship with that near 100-point cushion so far with how consistent he's been. Now the top thing's going to be, over time, we've seen the draft is important. You don't want to be the leader of a draft pack, it seems, because in turn, you just don't get as much momentum for when it's push time.
No, you certainly don't, Justin, as we pick up a couple of drivers here. That, of course, being the 935. That's Peyton Klein, who sits third in the standings right now. And just as I say that, it all gets jumbled up as drivers come across the line. Colin Evans now sets the fast time with a 107.880. Peyton Klein, Matthew Maccabee, your top 3 at the moment, as it is separated by just barely a couple of hundredths of seconds here between your top 3, as Benjamin Lyda sits P4. He's wanting to try to improve his lap time. Still got a lot of work to do, but with only a minute left to go, it is go time here on this final push.
Yeah, just about a lap to be able to get the job done right, and so far it's looked pretty cordial in terms of the session itself. In terms of Lida, I'm surprised a little bit further down in terms of the lineup, but we'll see how things push around here once they come around to the flag stand. Should be, for those drivers, about 2 more times the way things are looking on the timer. But right now, this pack that we've been keeping an eye on, lockstep. Now they're trying to pass each other. That's not great for qualifying.
Yep, you saw a little bit of hand gestures right there as they were wondering what's going on. We still got another lap at least as they'll come across the line here. One driver gets out of line and he will stay up. That's the 166 machine of Matthew Maccabee, who will come around and slot into second in that group of 3 that we see on screen as they come through turns 2, 3, and towards the back straightaway. But Colin Evans still holds on to the race lead. Peyton Klein moves up a little bit. He sets a personal best with a 107.890. That's good enough for P2 as Maccabee holds the 3rd spot. Lida still trying to find that little extra bite as the checker flag will come out. This is their final lap as they come around and said we'll see who is able to improve and then see who is going to be able to move into the pole position for the pre-final this afternoon as they go to the back half of the course, cresting over the hill towards the addition. And we'll see down to the inside, Maccabee will go and make the pass as he will now be the leader of this group of 4.
Yeah, Lida, I think, has been trying to time it up for this final lap, try and get the trap. The problem is the entire pack hasn't really cooperated with each other here with all that shuffling. Will it matter for the time? The checker flag, as you said, waving. Lida already putting the hand onto the forehead. Let's see if there's any improvement. Nope, not surprised.
Yeah, no improvements so far from any of the drivers inside the top 5, but as it will go as followed, it will be Colin Evans, your pole sitter, Peyton Klein second, Matthew Maccabee will round out your top 3, Ben Lida and Nolan Holliday your top 5, as any other drivers are kind of straggling along. No, everyone is clear off the racing circuit. So that will conclude your 206 senior qualifying session here tonight as they work that morning as they work their way around. We got one more qualifying segment for your 206 category. That is your 206 cadets, which will be next on the docket as they work their way around. We'll pick up there. You see Maccabee in the 166 machine. And here comes the rest of the field as they come around. Maccabee, of course, did not race in race number 2 this season so far, so he's going to be looking to see if he can make a big splash into the championship, possibly, as we still have at least 2 more rounds after this one.
Yeah, this should be, now with it being the middle time for the summertime for the standings, crunch time should be on for a lot of these drivers, but hey, we still have plenty of drivers ready to hit the racetrack soon, Taylor.
We certainly do. We have just about 100 entries in today's action, all across multiple different classes. Of course, we're wrapping up our 206 category with the 206 cadets. We then have our KA categories, which the KA juniors, the KA masters. We also have mini micro Swift cadet doing multi-class racing. Then our Pro-Am Pro Shifter category. And then the big show will be, of course, the Pro-Am KA 100 category, which will be the final event. Scott Oliver going to be one to watch for sure, as now the formation opening lap for your 206 cadets. We currently have 2 Kart heading out there. Liam Richter, William Richard, one more Kart also on the track as well, making a few more as they finally come around. We'll see if they get the timing and scoring up on there for us, where we can point those drivers out. But here comes the 07 machine around the circuit of Richter, with Richards right there behind. That's 587 you see on screen. William Richard getting a good run to start his flying lap and get set for qualifying action. We have at least about 5 or 6 karts in the category coming out of the final corner, turn number 16. And Richter and Richard comes across. And William Richard will start this, followed by Liam Richter. Drew Schneider, who is the one to watch in the cadet category. As Colton Hoops also. So 4 karts in your 206 cadet qualifying this morning.
During the warm-ups, it was Richard who was the quickest by near 2 seconds, interestingly enough. When it comes to him, he is part of those who runs Cup Karts North America competition as well. He's been pretty sporty as well when it comes to that class, showing some good speed in the heats. So we'll see how today goes. But so far, it has been Drew Snyder who's been the one to keep an eye out for the championship. He's had the most consistency. He's been the only one to come to both the rounds, it's worth noting so far. After all, this is his home track. It's them based out of Cincinnati, who runs in a lot of those events like stars, like the CKNA, across different parts of the country.
Yeah, it's a big critical, and it helps out when your track this is your home track for drivers such as Drew Schneider, as he is, like you said, the only driver who's made entry into any of the 2 MCC category championships events, as William Richards will set fast time. He, of course, was one of your top drivers that we saw winning at the last round. So we'll see what he does here today. Drew Schneider moves up to P2. He's about 1.7 seconds back from Richard. Then Liam Richter sits in third. Colton Hoot is quite a ways back. He's about 11 seconds off the pace. But of course, this is the 206 Cadet. This is just this drivers learning how to work their way up into the higher categories, still learning some of their racecraft from their coaches as well as their parents, who are helping them work their way up through the rankings to be able to one day work their way into the national rounds with the cadet categories, or even move up into the KA 100 juniors, or even one day the senior categories.
Everyone has to start somewhere, right? That's the main thought process. And it takes a process to learn the racing, learn the ropes, learn the racecraft. And it's great to see these drivers be able to learn said ropes here today, and be able to learn in this series, to be able to develop their talents, be able to move up as they get older throughout the rankings, and be able to race on. Richter getting a little bit quicker this lap, by the way. 1.3 seconds back still of Richard.
Keeping an eye here as Richard still holds the fastest lap. He just set his personal best with a 108.371, about 1.3 seconds ahead of Liam Richter. Drew Schneider still sits P3, and they work their way around the circuit with about a minute to go, so they'll have at least 2 more laps to set their fastest time, but everyone's separated for the most part. No one's going to get a big toe there. You see Drew Schneider on your screen right behind the 07 of Liam Richter as they come cresting up to the top of the hill before they make the downward run. And so far, it's not going to be major changes for lap times for any one of these drivers because of the toe is not going to come into play for them. So they're basing it all on just how well they get around this race circuit as quickly as possible as they come out of the final corner here. William Richard, he goes purple with a 108.342. Here comes Liam Richter and Drew Schneider as they come across the line. Improvement for Liam Richter, and Drew Schneider does not improve, but he's still 1.2 seconds off your pole sitter.
Expecting checker flag here this time around for these drivers, by the way. So it's been a intriguing session with the amount of gaps here, though. Obviously, some separation to be able to work within the race, but before the race. But the race itself is going to be the true test because of how chaotic it can get, Taylor. But better yet, how will they race each other in that? How will they race with the draft effect? How they race with the momentum effect that you normally expect for this style of racing in the 206 cards?
Yeah, absolutely, and it's going to be the style that we're going to see here in your Cadet. Only 4 entries, of course, but they still got a lot of work to do. We'll see how the racing goes if Drew Schneider and Richter can work together to keep up with William Richard, but it's still going to be a lot of work for them as they come across the line. Checkered flag in the air. William Richard does not improve, but does not matter. He still holds the pole time.
Don't think that time's going to move up on the board. It seems Richard started off with a bang, stayed with that way. Richard is going to be the one to beat again because when you're up by a second in this style of racing, that says a lot.
It certainly does, Justin, as the field will work their way around to end the qualifying session for your 206 Cadets. Next up onto the docket is your KA 100 Masters, as we'll see them make their way onto the circuit for their first round of qualifying. We're going to step aside, take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, KA Masters on the deck.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200 from Acceleration Kart Racing's website?
That's because AKR gives you free shipping on orders of $200 or more within the continental US.
Okay, but I thought you were just getting a pair of gloves. That's what, 70 bucks?
But if I'm getting a new pair of gloves, I might as well get a new pair of shoes to match. And then on top of that, I'll get a neck brace because with the shipping, it's basically free.
Yeah, I do not think the math checks out on that.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free for orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Spend responsibly. Shop AKR.com.
Colin, I need a new 219 chain. I need a 77 tooth roof sprocket. I need some more chain lube, and I need it probably as soon as like tomorrow. Dude, are you even listening? Like, we need this to run this weekend.
Want anything else?
What do you mean?
I already got it in the car on Acceleration Kart Racing's online store, bro. All orders over $200 get free shipping.
Oh, throw in a set of tires.
Done.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free on orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Shop AKR.com.
Are you looking for an advantage in your competition? Well, Car Class has done the hard work for you. We've traveled to your racetracks to give you the inside knowledge. So what does Car Class offer? We've got drone footage that captures the racing lines, visual markers for your braking points, acceleration zones, and the best overtake opportunities on your racetrack. Pedal cam to show you where to brake and when to accelerate, and 360-degree footage to make sure you don't miss any parts on the racetrack. We've covered 13 racetracks in the United States. And Australia, you're up next. So visit carclass.com to get your track information.
Cincinnati, as we are set for the IAME KA100 Masters qualifying session. Zach Korter is currently set the fastest lap by 1 minute .844, but Chris Kutcher, your champion or one of your championship favorites in fourth position, is sitting in second place with a 1 minute .877. Andy Kutcher, who is your points leader in the Pro-Am KA100 Masters, has not set a lap time just yet. So we'll see how that will work out for him. Scott Carpelletti will sit in P4. Corey Albright in P3. Chris Gorman is one of your drivers also. He's in the top 5 in the number 234 machine. As there you see the 290 machine coming around the circuit as he works his way out. That's Neil Hamilton. Currently sits P8 as he works his way out of the final corner across the front straightaway and sets another lap time for him.
Believe you were following along with the 260, in fact. As there go the Kutchers right there, up to the top of the board, 1-2, by about near tenth of a second difference between them. Zach Korter already dropping down from after leading the practice charts for today's action here at the racetrack. Interesting backstory a little bit when it comes to Zach. A little bit of a artist, so to speak, with the camera. Does a lot of artistic photo work and does a lot of 3D printing for go-kart parts for karts such as these.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing what Zach can do with a lot of the hard work that he's able to help benefit the karting community as we work their way around. But the Kutchers are still going to lead the charge in qualifying. Andy Kutcher does not improve on his lap time, but Chris does with a 1 minute .273. Scott Carpelletti sits P3 currently for the moment as he will work his way and try to improve on his lap time. And Zach Korter goes up to the top of the leaderboard, and just as I say that, Chris Kutcher responds with a 1 minute .062.
Yeah, and you have to be able to drive through the Kutchers, so to speak. They're very active in both the communities when it comes to Cincinnati and the entire state of Ohio when it comes to karting itself, mind you. They're the ones to beat because they've got the experience for years now. They've been the reliable people on the state of karting in the Ohio Valley region for years. It's going to be tricky to be able to run past them here today, but Zach Quarter seems to be amongst those who's in the ballpark. There's a look, I think, 279. That is one of the Kutchers. That is Chris. That seems to be handling very well. I will say these karts are going three-wheeling with how they've been working through turn 13, with how fast they've been going in these classes. They've been nearly grip flipping as it looks like he's pitting.
Yep, he's going to call it a day as the checker flag is out. Chris Kutcher feels confident with his qualifying time. A couple of other drivers will try to come around to see if they can improve on it. One driver, of course, being the driver of Zach Quarter and Andy Kutcher. They're going to see if they can try to bump up their times in the standing and see if they can snatch the pole away from Chris as they work the way around. There you see that is the 296 right there. That is Andy, who is trying to improve on his lap time as he'll try to climb the curbing right there on that red speed as they come out of the final corner. Can Andy get the pole away from Chris? The answer is going to be as he comes across the line, tucking his head in, and he'll move up to P2 with a 1 minute .105. Zach Quarter will come home in third with a 1 minute .232. Scott Carpelletti rounds out your top four with David Golina in fifth position.
Yeah, and like I said, you have to go through the Kutchers, it seems, when it comes to the series this season on speed, and we're starting to really see that with how they played out in this session. We'll see how the racing itself goes here today. Now that you essentially have a quasi-teamwork or team bond through family there.
Absolutely, and as they do that here, next up on the docket will be your K8 100 Junior category, who is next for their qualifying segment. Then we'll move on to your Mini Micro category, then Pro Shifter, and your K8 100 Pro-Am Senior category. As there's Andy out there one more time as he'll come around and head into the scale line. And we'll move on to our next category since it's an all-clear track. No other cars need to be picked up, so we'll soon be ready to go at it once again for your junior category, who is about to head out onto the track. Of course, in the standings, it is Homer Heyman, who is sitting in the points lead with Adler Klein in second place. Isaac Gardner rounds out your top three with Josiah Phillips, Caleb Tracy rounding out your top five as they get set for another great run here. Of course, Max Whalen and Indy Anderson were some of the drivers who have already won races in your KA 100 Junior category the past couple of times that we were racing here. Once again, Max Whalen, of course, in round one, winning both the pre-final as well as also the junior final. As here they come, your junior categories, and we're going to see a lot of the Trinity Karting Group Kart Republics in this category, as there you see them. One trouble, though, for one driver in one of those Trinity Karting Group Kart Republics, as he will try to rejoin the track here momentarily, but a tough break for one of them. Could not catch the number on him. So we'll get a report here, hopefully, as here comes this sea of drivers as they try to slice and dice their way through around the circuit to get warmed up and ready to go for their first flying lap.
Almost looking like team games with how it's playing out, with some of those trying to lift and be in the heart of the pack instead of in the back of it. Already a lot of people signaling, hey, I don't want to lead this group, you lead this group. Hey, I want to lead this group. No, I don't want to lead this group, with how they're hand gesturing right there in the pack. But there was one name that I know when we're talking things over today that jumped to the top of your sheet. Tyrone Kemper Jr., I believe, was amongst those that stood out to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, for those of you who are following Kart Chaser, we see him a lot on both the Texas Sprint Racing Series as well as part of the National Tour. And due to the fact that he is going to probably be up here for the race that is happening this following weekend for the Stars Championship Series that will be racing here, well, what a better way to get some practice in, get some laps in, is, of course, come out here and race the club level races to get themselves set up and find that fine-tuning setup that they need in order maybe to go out there and win their category in the KA 100 Juniors for the Stars Championship later on this following week. As there you see Field working away. There you see the 873 of Tyrone Kemper Jr. working his way to start his flying lap.
And even better yet, it's a good opportunity to be able to learn the track. If you've never been to the track or don't have as much experience compared to some of the others, of course, you've seen some of the points to talk about in terms of learning the track virtually. Being able to learn it physically is also very critical to be able to have that muscle memory built up, to be able to learn where your marks are, to learn how to get the lines exact once again, once you hit the racetrack, and be able to put them to practice. So it's a opportunity here this week, at least for Kemper Jr., to not only show that he can go zoom, and he's looking extremely fast already in the session top of the board, but also to be able to make sure everything's ready to go for the national level next week, already making passes in qualifying.
Yeah, that was a big slide right there as he was trying to get around. I believe that's the 866 of Isabella Simpson, who he was able to get around, and he will try to improve on his lap time with a 1 minute .635. Let's see what he does. Well, how about just drop it down the hammer to a 1 minute .24. Kai Mars moves up to P2. Actually, Homer Heyman drops the hammer with a 1 minute .242. Tyrone Kemper Jr. does not improve his lap time, so he's got a little bit of work to do, probably due to the fact of all the passing he's trying to make around the circuit. And now he has to get a little bit of breathing room. Let's see if he can smooth himself in and get himself settled for at least these last 2 laps.
It's pretty clear, though, that Kemper Jr. wants the clean air. He wants to be able to run on his own because there's so much talk about draft. That can help to a point. But it also can cause some troubles for the corners because if someone's not as good as you in the corners, you're essentially confined to that driver's speed unless you make the pass, which Kemper Jr. ended up just electing to make the pass, as we already see. So let's see if there's an improvement this time by the stripe here from him compared to some of the others. Yes, indeed. He's up top of the board.
Yep, 1 minute .173. So 0.06 of a second faster than Homer Heyman and Kai Mars, who are your top 3. Isaac Gardner, Julian Pollard round out your top 5 at the moment. As Adler Klein, who has only set 2 laps so far, he's going to come around. He's one to keep an eye on as well, but really struggling here in this stage of qualifying. Hopefully he can improve when we go into pre-finals and finals later on today. 40 seconds left to go as they come around the circuit. Here they come up to the top of the hill. Tyrone Kemper Jr. leads the charge. As they head into the braking zone, this wide sweeping corner, we'll see a lot of curb climbing right through this section of the course as they come to the final couple of sweeping S's and then come through that turn 16 where you can get a lot of big momentum. This is where we're going to see the final last lap passes coming from as they come across the start-finish line. Checkered flag in the air, and Kai Mars breaks the 1 minute bracket to a 59.897. That will give him the pole position. Tyrone Kemper Jr. will finish or go in P2. Indy Anderson rounds out your podium of positions as Homer Heyman 4th and Isaac Gardner rounds out your top 5 in qualifying. Absolutely incredible job by Kai Mars as well as they will come around and end your KA 100 Junior category qualifying. Showing next up on the docket for our drivers is the Pro Shifter category. So we'll see if Pro Shifter or the Micro Mini multi-class field will be next on the docket here. So as Phil works their way around, we'll see who is going to be next up. But the Pro Shifters, Justin, I know you've seen a couple of races with the Kart Chaser team and everything here recently, but Pro Shifters are absolutely some of the most exciting forms of karting to watch, and we're going to see that here on the club level once again.
Yeah, that's going to be in a couple classes' time. You mentioned that in your description. It was like the F1 of karting because it's not only about hitting the lines, it's about being able to shift to the gears as quick as possible while making sure you don't lose time. It's a lot of management when it comes to the driving. There's some separation that can happen, yes, but it is entertaining racing because of how much work it takes to be able to shift and be able to race and be able to make sure you get the gears right and the timing right as you race.
Absolutely. So while the drivers get themselves situated, we'll step aside right quick. And when we come back, more qualifying action here from the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati, live on Kart Chaser.
So you finally want to get behind the wheel, huh?
Yeah, I've been shooting for 3 years and I've never got to drive.
Well, you're going to need some more gear than just your helmet. Why don't you go to shopakr.com. They got their inventory online and they'll ship it the same day if you order before 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
They got shoes,
Yep.
gloves,
Yep.
rib protectors.
Got those too.
Can they make me go fast?
No.
Here at Acceleration Kart Racing, we've got everything you need to get on track. What happens next? Well, that's on you. Check us out online at shopakr.com. This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
Welcome back to Kart Chaser coverage of the Pro-Am Karting Championship of MCC Cincinnati as the pro shifters are out on the track here. Stafa Haddock, Larry Pegram, Riley Pegram, Mitchell Lowry, and the field will come around. We have at least a total of 7 karts who will start this qualifying session, as Stafa Haddock is one of the drivers to keep an eye on. But don't forget about the man himself, Larry Pegram, who will lead the charge here, as he is going to be one to watch in the standings, as he is currently going to try to lead the field here as he tries to stay up the pace and work their way through the back half of the course, as he will lead in this qualifying segment. And just in this class here, of course, it's all about making sure you hit your mark. This is basically, if you want to consider this form of kart racing, the Formula One of karting, and these drivers are going to showcase the talent here today, as Stafa Haddock sets the fastest lap currently with a 55.400. Let's see what Larry and Riley Pegram can do as they will come around. And Riley Pegram goes to the top of the leaderboard at 55.309.
You can see just how much work it has to be able to be put through, because it's not just about driving with the wheel. It's about reach, grab the gear physically, literally, and be able to shift before you go through these corners, be able to go through it down the straightaways as well. Manage the speeds, manage the temperatures. It's a micromanagement exercise for these karts, but they are some of your fastest karts on property today. 55-second lap time so far.
Really good run here, as there you see the driver of Larry Pegram right there in the 672. I believe, if I'm looking at that correctly, it's probably a Praga kart that he's racing behind. Normally, we used to see him, at least last year especially, in the Trinity Karting group of Kart Republic. So as I say that, Larry Pegram goes to the top of the leaderboard with a 53.884. So he'll be your new pole sitter currently. Stafa Haddock in second. Riley Pegram, your top 3. Mitchell Lowry moves up a little bit. Doug Duff moves up to P5.
Haddock showing some great consistency when it comes to laps so far. Give that 292 huge credit. Looking like just having an issue actually with this lap, just trying to slow it up rather than going high speed. Something's going on with the 292 all of a sudden.
It could be also he could be cooling his tires and decided to come down. Normally when it comes to the shifter kart, some drivers will go the entire session, but some drivers you only realize you only have a couple of good laps in this kart before you have to come down pit road and end up not burning your tire or your equipment this early on. You want to try to save some of that for your pre-finals and your finals. So this looks like what Safa Haddock did. It's trouble for one driver out there in the middle of the field. Cannot catch the driver. We'll see if we can find out who that is, but he is stopped, and unfortunately they're going to have to come and pick him up. And it's an RP, or it's a Cosmic Kart. That's the 219 of Rocky Johnson out there in the field.
Unfortunate for Johnson, he was looking okay in the midfield for the qualifying, but just stuck there until the end of the session for the time being. You're right about Haddock, though. Looks to be fully in push mode now that the tires have been cooled down. Try and get them into the optimal range. Need to find half a second in the Trinity Karting Group machine. A couple times with Trinity Karting over the years now with the team. Has been with a draft, in fact, this time down the straightaway. No change on the time as Larry Pegram set a bit of a faster lap time.
Not by much, though. He currently still holds the fastest with a 53.639 as the checker flag is going to come out. But this is their final lap. We'll see if anyone decides to try to push it in order to get that pole position. Safa Haddock or Riley Pegram could be one of the ones who could maybe pull a last-second flyer here. But for Rocky Johnson in the field behind, they got a lot of work to do. Mitchell Lowry's at P4. Fred Robertson in P6 as the field works away. Here is Safa Haddock as he comes through out of the final couple of corners here. Let's see if he can steal this pole position away from Larry Pegram. He's got half a second to make up. Out of the final corner across the start-finish line, Safa Haddock in the 292 decides to come down pit road. Feels like he doesn't want to risk it as the 44 machine of Gary Mockel comes across the line. Larry Pegram, Riley Pegram as well. No improvement for them. Mitchell Lowry in the, of course, the Magic Kart decides to come down pit road or come across the line. Does not improve as well. No one else really has improved on this, but that's okay. We'll see how things will go when the lights turn out for them later on this afternoon in your pre-final and finals action. Next up is multi-class racing with your IME Micro and Mini Swift qualifying. They're due to come out here this time around after we go and pick up Rocky Johnson out on the track. But they're next on the docket here on the Pro-Am Karting Championship, MCC Cincinnati, live on Kart Chaser.
So you finally want to get behind the wheel, huh?
Yeah, I've been shooting for 3 years and I've never got to drive.
Well, you're going to need some more gear than just your helmet. Why don't you go to shopakr.com. They got their inventory online and they'll ship it the same day if you order before 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
They got shoes?
Yep.
Gloves?
Yep.
Rip protectors?
Got those too.
Can they make me go fast?
No.
Here at Acceleration Kart Racing, we've got everything you need to get on track. What happens next? Well, that's on you. Check us out online at shopakr.com. This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
Batavia, Ohio. Taylor Burris here along with Justin Prince. It is time for your multi-class racing of the Micro and Mini Swift categories. As we see a couple of drivers work their way around. Robert Lash, Alec Kutcher, coming around the circuit to start their first flying laps. There you see them on screen as they come across the start-finish line. Ben Gleberman, who is your points leader in the Mini Swift category. As we'll see a couple of other drivers there. You see Miles Wilson coming across the line to lead the field in the Micro Swift division. Drew Schneider in the mix as well as they will come around and start. We have a total of, it looks like, 11 karts that will start today's action in this qualifying. As we watch on, Robert Lash in the field trying to get themselves going and trying to hunt down Alex Kutcher up ahead in the 178.
Yeah, interesting time so far when it comes to this season for the micro side. It's been Williamson who's been the leader of the point standings. With how things have looked so far by near 100 points over Jackson Frank. But you compare that to Mini's side, Ben Gleberman so far has had a fight. Robert Lash so far in the first two races has been extremely competitive to keep back and forth when it comes to the point standings. Just 10 points the difference between the two of them. They're looking like they're close again on speed. They're in the same pack and already swapping spots.
Absolutely. Ben Gleberman sets the fastest time with a 103.575. Meanwhile, in your micro category, Miles Wilson set the fastest time with a 106.667.
Yeah, all sorts of bouncing around on the board here. Swindling needing to pick up things. Williamson picks up a lot to be able to get up 2/10 nearly over Wilson from that respective class's qualifying session for the Mini. The micros still also looking back and forth. Here it comes on the board. But right now, this grouping that we've been keeping an eye on has just continuously squabbled and not really wanted to fully work together per se with how things are looking. Now they're using the hand signals, having to indicate, let's try and work together here. Let's work as a team to get a better spot.
Well, as they do that, they do work together well enough to get some improvements on their lap time. A 103.483 for Ben Gleberman. Robert Lash sits P2. Alex Kutcher sits P3. Meanwhile, in your micro category, Drake Williamson in the number 9 machine sets the fastest lap of the race currently with a 106.39. But then I got to go about another 0.3 of a second back to Miles Wilson. Jackson Frank rounds out your top 3 in that category.
Williamson with experience with the self-karting in the past, for example. So far, he's been excelling in this session by near half a second. Not sure what else to really say other than he's going to be difficult to beat if he keeps up the tempo like he's been setting here in this session. Mind you, during the last session, he did near identically the same thing by near identical the same margin over Miles Wilson. He's going to be the one to beat in that class.
Absolutely, he is sketched out, and as they work their way around, Alex Kutcher moves up to P2 in qualifying as he sets a personal fast time of a 103.513. He's got a little bit of work to do, but he can possibly close in for the pole position in your mini category. They're halfway through their lap right now. Miles Wilson does not improve his time. Drake Williamson does improve his lap time by quite a bit, so he has a comfortable margin right now of over half a second over Miles Wilson. Drew Schneider, who's one of your drivers in the championship hunt, he sits P3 in the Micro Swift category. He's got a lot of work to do as he is second to last in his class, 12th overall.
A little bit of surprising moments for Schneider so far, absolutely, with how things have looked so far, but sometimes you just don't get the best of positioning for the qualifying session. Sometimes you end up getting in the perfect positioning. So for Schneider, 220 points on the average so far per round. In fact, identical with what he's done so far. Checker flag in session. Lash jumps over the 163 card on the pylon as one is in the grass.
That's the 141 of Eli Furnish. He is not happy about what happened to him as he throws the glove down. Not happy at all, but Alex Kutcher sets the fastest time by 0.06 of a second over Robert Lash, a 103.45.3 to a 103.45.9. Absolutely going to be exciting to watch. Ben Gleberman rounds out your podium in qualifying. Then in your micro category, it's Miles Wilson, Drake Williamson, and Jackson Frank, your top 3 in the micro category. Well, we're going to go get Eli Furnish out with the cart, and when we come back, it is time for the big class, the KA 100 senior qualifying session. It's going to be exciting. We're next here on Kart Chaser.
This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
Are you looking for an advantage in your competition? Well, Car Class has done the hard work for you. We've traveled to your racetracks to give you the inside knowledge. So what does Car Class offer? We've got drone footage that captures the racing lines, visual markers for your braking points, acceleration zones, and the best overtake opportunities on your racetrack, pedal cam to show you where to brake and when to accelerate, and 360-degree footage to make sure you don't miss any parts on the racetrack. We've covered 13 racetracks in the United States, and Australia, you're up next. So visit carclass.com to get your track information.
This
And welcome back to Kart Chaser coverage of the Pro-Am Karting Championship of MCC Cincinnati. We're getting set to go for your final qualifying session as we go and see the officials go and pick up the 141 machine of Eli Furnish. But briefly, while the field is getting ready to set for your Pro-Am category, Scott Oliver looking to go and make a hat trick, 3 for 3, as he has been the dominating factor in that 944. Nikola Dukov sits second place in the standings. Ryan Crouch rounds out your top 3. Then Will Steele and Ryan Miller, who have been the drivers who have worked their way through and put on some dominating performances all season long here for the past 2 rounds. We're going to see how this will continue, or could we see some new faces make the charge and work their way up through the field in order to have a chance to take the fight to Scott Oliver?
Yeah, that's a great question with how things have looked so far, right? Scott Oliver, when it comes to racing, when someone dominates in the way they have so far to be able to be top of the charts, makes it very difficult. Of course, Scott Oliver, an up-and-coming racer from Central Ohio with the national scenes. He's been around for a good few years now on the racing scene. So now we'll see if anyone else is going to be able to upseed him and be able to cause the need for adjustment, so to speak, here for this class. Oliver in warm-ups, mind you, only ran in the 1-minute bracket, a second off the top time of Carter Thompson. But as we've seen sometimes, practice is not the race, and better yet, practice is not qualifying speed when you're trying to make sure just that your equipment's ready to go before you go full out with said equipment.
Absolutely, as the field will work their way around the circuit to start their first flying laps here. We'll give you a full total of how many entries. I believe last I looked, it was about 19 entries entered in for your KA 100 senior category as they come across the line. There you see the 937 machine of Nikola Dukov in the TKG Kart Republic. And we are looking at about 14, 15, 16. We'll hit right at 17 karts that cross the line here. Riley Pegram also coming in doing double duty here. as she will work her way through. There's 18 with Ben Gaunt. And 19, Blade Fountain. So we do have 19 karts for today's action. Exciting to see that happen here at the club level for your KA100 seniors, as Ryan Crouch will start the opening laps here in this qualifying session. They should be coming around the final couple of corners as we pick up Scott Oliver along with the 75 machine. That, of course, trying to get the driver who is driving the 975. I don't see as they come across the line. Ryan Crouch sets the fastest lap so far with a 59.739. And just as I say that, Nikolai Dukov sets the fast time with a 59.137. Carter Thompson now goes to the top in the 951. And now everyone else starts to cycle through. Ben Gaunt, Blade Fountain have not set a time just yet, but Carter Thompson, the one to lead the charge here by just a smidge of a margin, as Blade Fountain goes from 19 up to P4. Great start for his qualifying run.
We'll say we've had 16 total drivers make starts in the Pro-Am Series this season. We're definitely past the 16, to say the very least. It's great to see a great field turnout here. A lot of these drivers from some of the other classes looking to see how their karts race here. Keeping an eye on Light in particular, the 991, 6/10 back right now. Dukov keeping things tight with Thompson, though. Thompson has a fair amount of draft to work off that 942 car to call in front and is trying to get back up to the teammates.
And just as that happens, Carter Thompson goes to the top with a 58.452. Lucas Sazbo moves up to P2. Will Steele will move up to P3. And big surprise so far, as he just ran his second lap, Scott Oliver all the way back in P12. So a lot of things changing here for today's action, as we'll keep an eye and see if Scott Oliver can improve and find a chance to go and take the fight up to the top 5 at least in qualifying.
Yeah, that is shocking, actually. You mentioned near perfect so far. Obviously, things not going the greatest so far in the qualifying session. But Steele, in particular, the 915s look very solid so far. Their team, usually ran by Mark Steele, 4-time Canadian national champion. And that team up from Cleveland, up here in Cincinnati today.
Yeah, great to see them coming over here, as Lucas Sazbo does improve, but still has about 0.3 of a second to try and make up on Carter Thompson, who almost was about a second off his fastest time last time by. So he's got to keep careful of that and see how much of equipment he doesn't want to burn off, as a couple of other drivers do come across the line. No major improvement for anyone. Looking through, Ryan Crouch does go faster last time by, but no positions gained. Same thing with Ben Lida, Ben Gaunt, and Rush Gary, who improve on their lap times here as they crest over the top of the hill here for the final few moments in qualifying. A couple of drivers trying to sort themselves out, see if they can find the right dance partner. There you see Lucas Sazbo in the RPM machine, as he will come across the line here. Does he improve? Will Steele drops up to P4. Carter Thompson does not improve his lap time. Neither does Sazbo, Mueller, or Will Steele. They take the checkered flag. And waiting to see on a couple of other drivers, can they improve on their lap times in the closing stages? Ben Gaunt does not improve. Blade Fountain moves up to P7 with an improvement on his lap time. Waiting on Scott Oliver. That's the one I want to keep an eye on, along with Ryan Crouch. Those two sit first and third in the championship standings. And if they do not improve, they got a lot of work to do in the pre-finals later on this morning, or afternoon, I should say. As the field works their way across out of the final couple of corners. Ryan Crouch does not improve. Scott Oliver, he picks up a couple of spots. He'll be starting P11. Chase Adam moves up to P8. So as it sits, Carter Thompson, Lucas Sazbo, Logan Mueller, your top 3, then Will Steele, and Rush Gary, your top 5 in qualifying. Well, that will conclude today's action in the qualifying segment of your Pro-Am Karting Championship MCC Cincinnati. We'll be back later this morning to see here. So we're going to be switching over to our pay-per-view moment here for the heat races or pre-finals and finals here today. So don't forget to hit subscribe and get that one-time payment of $9.99 a month. Of course, if you're on an Apple device, try to do it on a PC or Android device instead, because it does charge a little extra. Be careful of that, but make sure to pay the $9.99 to catch the finals and pre-finals. That'll happen later today. Of course, with this payment, it also gives you a chance to see the Stars Championship Series, as they'll be here at Cincinnati later on next weekend. But for that, as we say goodbye for the moment, we'll be back later on this afternoon for the pre-finals and final action. I'm Taylor Burris, that is Justin Prince, and we'll be seeing you here live on Kart Chaser.